Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Welcome back to Marvel Mania. Today we tackle The Punisher from 2004. We're out of 2003. And we are finally into 2004, Eric.
Yep.
So, the Thomas Jane Punisher.
Do you think it's funny how we call movies, at this point, specifically super movies, because we've had so many of them, we call them as if, like, the year owns them. This is 2004's The Punisher. Mm-hmm. I think that's amusing.
Well, it's just a way to differentiate them. I mean, with this particular movie, people tend to call it the Thomas Jane Punisher.
That's true.
As opposed to the 04 Punisher, but I just thought it was somewhat significant. I feel like we've been in 2003 for quite a while.
3 movies. Marvel had the first 3-movie year, way back in 2003.
That's right. And it wasn't one studio, but one studio did have 2 of them. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting.
Yep.
So anyway, I have not seen this in a long time.
It's been a little bit for me.
And this was one of those movies, like Blade, that I didn't watch for the longest time because I tried it and I couldn't handle it.
I know exactly the scene it is.
Yeah.
And then when you went to do it for the rewind, you're like, oh, I don't know what I don't see anything.
Well, with that, we'll talk about it when we get there. With this particular, I actually know exactly why I stopped watching it then. And it's just a desensitization issue. It's just that by the time I've seen enough things like that. I'm a 24 fan by the time I'm watching this. Mm-hmm. It's a torture scene, and it's a torture scene that's barely a torture scene. But I don't know. It's just a mortifying idea.
That's something that I bet a bunch of people don't know at this point. That you're a 24 fan.
Yeah.
I don't think it comes up that often. A lot of people probably don't even remember 24 and 24.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, and remember, I mean, we had like maybe 300 viewers at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, real early on, I don't know what we're talking about this. In case you don't know what Eric's talking about, I have to provide context. It's important. Real early on, I did a little, I don't want to say a project. I sat around for 24 hours straight and watched an entire season of 24. And
was it season 4?
Season 5.
Season 5
is the best season of that show. Yeah, and but it's relentless, and it took a lot out of me, man. That was rough because it is depressing, and I didn't sleep obviously. And anyway, I did I did 2 videos. I did one right before it and one right after doing it, and that's where I met Shades.
Yeah, you were talking to people while you were doing it
on Skype. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so some people probably know that I like 24 because Steve and I did a series.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
For the miniseries when it came back, and it's about to come back again without Jack Bauer, and I just don't know what the point of that is, but we'll see what it's like. I'll watch it. I gotta know. But anyway, so The Punisher. Let's go ahead and just get right into it, shall we? If you want to watch it with us, get your DVD or your Blu-ray out. However you want to watch it, get it to timestamp 0 and get ready to press play when I say now. Here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
LGF.
Thrakakun.
Wow, Lionsgate Film will significantly change their logo.
Yeah, I feel like this is the only movie where I've ever seen that particular Lionsgate logo. They didn't use that for very long.
There was a real cool Punisher shot in that flip.
Yeah, it wasn't all Dazzler.
Yeah. Oh, I love these credits.
This credit sequence did make my top 10.
It should have.
Because it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is such a... I love the style of this movie.
Mm-hmm. It's a little all over the place in its influences. Like, it's a Western, except when it's a 70s, like, revenge film, except when it's an 80s revenge film, except when it's Mad Max, the first one.
But I like the look of it all the way through, I think.
Yeah.
But again, it's been a long time since I've seen it. I do kind of wish that... Maybe it is and I don't remember. I feel like this isn't the way it sounds the whole movie.
No.
And I kind of wish it did.
But I think this is the theme. Like, this is the Punisher theme.
Because you're right, that is real, obviously, Western-y.
Yeah. Tampa, Florida. I've been there quite a few times. I've seen the Lightning play a lot.
Is that what the skyline looks like?
That is,
Is
what the skyline
that
looks like.
Tampa, Florida?
Yeah, I believe that is the
Oh,
Tampa,
good.
Florida.
Cool.
It's changed a little bit since this movie was made. But
we didn't shoot Vancouver and call it Tampa, Florida.
no, I don't know where it's shot, but that's at least an exterior shot that was shot on location. I think this movie is largely shot in Florida.
Oh, interesting.
That's why it's set in Florida, is because it was cheaper.
Okay.
Because obviously you do the Punisher in New York.
Yeah.
It's a
Usually-
real weird choice to pick Tampa.
It is weird. I don't mind it when we do that sometimes, though. I mean, it's kind of fun to go to a different place.
Mhm.
But, you know, if you're a purist, you're going, well, it's a Marvel thing. It's supposed to be in New York.
Well, it's weird to pick. Well, first of all, Tampa's the weird pick for like the Punisher needs to be in a really corrupt town.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick one of those,
That's a good point.
if you're gonna pick one of those,
It's
Miami makes way
Detroit
more
or
sense.
yeah.
If you're going to Florida, Miami makes way more sense. Tampa's just a weird pick for a city. Even Orlando makes more sense, but that might be more expensive to shoot in. Because Orlando's not a great city when it comes to crime. I'm not saying they're corrupt. But I knew a guy that moved there, and twice in the first month of having an apartment, he was broken into twice, and he was robbed.
Also, maybe this does make perfect sense.
In Orlando,
Oh,
not
okay.
Tampa.
Okay.
I know quite a few people who live in Tampa, and
That's
I've
never happened to them.
Yeah, I've never heard anything like that.
Okay. So this just looks like every crime thriller you've ever seen ever, right?
Yeah. And I like that he has blonde hair. Because walking into this, he's not a name. You do not know that that is him. Also, the accent he's doing is real fun.
I think I have only seen this movie one time, all the way through.
I've seen this quite a few times.
This is gonna be likely the closest to watching a movie for the first time I will have, with the exception, of
Have you
course,
seen the extended
of
cut?
Man-Thing. I think when Vince and I reviewed it, it was the extended cut.
So there is a scene that never got shot in the extended cut. They do it as almost like an animatic kind of a thing. Like, it's not full animation.
Maybe I haven't seen that. I honestly do not remember.
It opens in the war, and Frank saves his part. The guy who rats him out. That's the big thing that's cut from this movie, is his relationship with his partner. Here, or in that, he saves him during the war.
Okay. And does it feel like real necessary? Like it adds this whole other...
I wish it was shot as a
layer.
scene and not animated. Like, that's kind of weird. But it does add a layer, because I think we cut entirely that Frank goes and kills his partner. I don't remember, it's been a while since I've seen this version, but I think we cut that entirely. Or he makes him kill himself.
So weird immortalizing things on camera and having like a history of your viewing experiences, because somebody could go back to that rewind and find out if I've seen that cut. I don't know. I would have to go back and look at that. But it's kind of cool that I can go back and look, because, you know, for most things in life, you're like, yeah, have I seen that? I don't know. And then you would never know.
Yeah. At least he didn't say bag him and tag him. That would have been obvious.
That cop that just said what time it was, I think might be one of the agents in 24, but I'm not sure. He looks a little bit younger here, and probably not. Probably
Should
not,
we,
because this would have already been 3 or 4 years into that show.
Should we count the 24 cast members that show up in Marvel movies? Because I bet there's a few.
Yeah, there probably are.
You had that guy from last week.
They're probably also all Star Trek alum, because 24 used a lot of Star Trek alum. Yeah, that's not who that is. I am wrong. Eric, I don't remember this movie at all.
Do you not?
No, I don't.
But it's gonna be fun. Tom Jane's great.
I know, and when I said I really like what this movie looks like its style, I am mostly remembering the bridge shot and the foot chase.
That bridge shot's the last shot of the film.
No, there's a
bridge shot.
No, there's a shot on the bridge when his family gets.
Oh, that shot.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and I remember that looking real artistic, but yeah, I am out of my depth here. I haven't seen this in so long. Anyway, you were saying.
Tom Jane's great for this role, and I think he could still play it today. You could reboot and use Tom Jane again, with a completely different tone and context.
I love Dirty Laundry.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
Well, and Punisher Max,
that is a 10-minute short film. My rewind is longer than it. There was I had so much to say about the ideas in that, and I thought he was just wonderful in that.
The Garth Ennis Punisher Max is like a pushing 50 Punisher, because his whole thing is he was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I think they are supposed to be the same continuity.
Jason Aaron's is also older Punisher. I think it's older Punisher, but introducing characters at the same time.
Yeah, Kingpin and Elektra and Bullseye.
Yeah.
One day I'll read that stuff. Everyone loves it.
I think you'll like it. I wouldn't mind reviewing that. It's real rough. You wouldn't think it would be the kind of thing I would want to read, but I love the character study.
There's some of that in Punisher Max. The Garth Ennis Punisher.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And it's interesting.
Well, and having not read Ennis's, I'm imagining you looking at Aaron's and going, well, he just ripped off stuff? But I don't know, because I haven't read it, so I'm not. So I don't know. You might have a totally different experience with it.
It's interesting because Garth Ennis kind of has two substantial runs on The Punisher, and the first one influences this film, and the second one influences Warzone.
Interesting.
So this is really influenced by Welcome Back, Frank. And obviously Warzone is... I mean, it says it's influenced by Punisher Max, and it is a little bit, but I think it's also informed by that first one that's way sillier.
Because that's a real silly movie, intentionally.
Yeah. And this one is too, kind of, sometimes. This film tonally is kind of wibbly-wobbly, and it's one of the things I like about the film, is that you can have a really dramatic scene and then a really, terrifying scene.
And you like that about it.
Yeah, it works with this film, yeah.
So you don't think it doesn't know what it is? Regardless if you're saying that it jumps back and forth between genres?
Well, its influences are real muddled.
Yeah.
It does seem sometimes from scene to scene we are pulling different influences, and that makes it a little weird. Especially opening with that...
This scene is a Western, this scene is a hard-boiled detective thing.
Especially opening with that Western thing. That makes it feel like this is supposed to all be a modern Western, and it's not.
Well, I was going to say, I said I remembered the soundtrack not sounding like the opening scene. Mm-hmm. Oh, it has no soundtrack. That's why so far we've got to laid out the music.
And there's John Travolta, who's the biggest mistake about this movie.
I don't agree with that. Or I remember not agreeing with that.
It's not that he's bad. He's not bad, but he's expensive. And this film has a small budget, and a good portion of it goes to him.
Because they think his name will sell it.
Yeah, this film could have been a little bit bigger and a little bit more action-y.
And it wouldn't have been in Tampa.
If it wasn't John Travolta. Yeah, it wouldn't have been in Tampa. Probably. I think it was a mistake to cast John Travolta.
Unless that was a conscious choice for some reason, but I would love to know that. The more we're talking about it, you're right. That's weird. Yeah, that didn't occur to me. Oh, yes, of course, you would want a more traditionally corrupt city, or at least a city with a lot of crime.
Yeah, which is Miami.
I don't know anything about Florida.
When you're picking Floridian cities, you would go to Miami.
But that makes sense. You have Miami Vice and stuff. You do think cop dramas when you think of Miami.
And that's where Dexter's set.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Miami makes way more sense than Tampa. I don't know why they picked Tampa.
Thanks for the geography lesson. Really needed that, apparently. When this came out, I remembered thinking, wow, John Travolta's a really weird choice. And I think that one of the reasons you're right that is a mistake is because it didn't help to sell the film. When people found out he was in it, they just scratched their heads and went, he's your bad guy? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And he's able to play that.
He's good in the film.
And I think he's scary.
I just think, for the film as a whole, I think casting was a mistake. I think he was too expensive for this movie. And didn't give them what they wanted from it, which was, he wasn't a draw.
Yeah. And it almost takes you out because there aren't a bunch of names in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this one really recognizable face, which works in other things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there are lots of movies where your heavy is a name
that's
and
89.
nobody else is. Yeah.
But he was not Jack Nicholson.
The first thing that came to mind was Masters of the Universe. There are way better examples. That was the first thing that came to mind. But this is actually almost a tradition with superhero films, isn't it? We did it with Superman.
We did it with Spider-Man.
We do it going all the way back. That's not as big of a name, though, as the villains in Superman and Batman.
He's been working since the 80s.
That's right. Yeah, but I would consider him more of a character actor.
Yeah,
than I would like a big A-list actor like Jack Nicholson.
But that's I would consider Travolta, at least at this point in his career.
Yeah, but he had been A-list.
Yeah,
that's a little different, right? Like, but Willem Dafoe still is, to your point, probably one of the more recognizable faces in Spider-Man.
Mm.
But I didn't know him. Like, when I first saw that movie, I mean, that's the first thing I ever saw him in.
I did know him. He's the villain in Speed 2. Cruise Control.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He puts
leeches on himself.
I've never bothered watching that.
Yeah, I saw it when I was a kid.
So this is one of your... I mean, it's hard to call Punisher a superhero, but this is one of your standard origin comic book movies. We're not starting at he's the Punisher already and jumping back.
Mm-hmm.
I always have to remind myself about that with this movie for some reason.
Well, Warzone does that. Warzone, he's been around for like 5-10 years, something like that.
Yeah, but I'm not comparing those. I don't know Warzone at all either. Like,
that's gonna be fun.
For some reason, I always remember this movie as being more like the Dolph Lundgren one, where like he's been Punisher for a while, and we flash back to this stuff, and then we watch it. I'm like, oh, we're opening this, like Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting that initial status quo first.
And this makes sense, because Punisher is inherently a tragic character with a tragic motivation. And it makes sense that you want to do that in your movie.
And so often with this character, you don't get to know Frank Castle before he's the Punisher.
Yeah, yep.
And I don't think there's one right way to do that.
No,
I think with that character, you can do it both ways. Yep. I mean, I really like the way Daredevil does it, the TV show, where we have to retroactively start to try to put together who the man was. I really like that.
No, I mean, a little bit of the problem with this is it is one of those things that does the thing that I hate in super movies, where like we get to the end and it's like, and now he's the Punisher.
Yeah. And you're not going to get any more.
Because he does not operate like the Punisher in this movie. Like, I like this movie. His methods are not the Punisher's methods. He's real. Like, this whole movie is a lot of song and dance of like slowly destroying a man.
Yeah.
The Punisher just shows up and shoots you in the face.
Would you say that part of that is because this is a movie trying to be a movie before it's a comic book movie?
Probably.
Is it another one of those? Like Hulk?
Yeah.
I mean, there are maybe some comparisons we can make between this and Ang Lee's Hulk.
Well, and I want to say I've heard the director say that some of that is we just didn't have the budget to do a bunch of shootouts and stuff like that. Not that there's no shooting in this movie.
Because this is not a movie... Like, again, earlier I was talking about style, and there is some style, although not as much as I remembered. This is more straightforward than I remember. It's not style... It's not especially stylized. Mm-hmm. Or if it is, what I was going to say, it doesn't look like a comic book. It's not trying to be a comic book. The style.
It's not like Ang Lee's Hulk.
No. The style. Wouldn't you love that though? the Punisher's about to shoot you in the face, and it's the Jaws guy.
He's shooting, and then like there's a panel that's like a close up on the gun. And there's like a panel that's close up on the bullet. Actually, that might be a cool shot, but
this has got to be one of the last things he does. I thought he died before this.
Oh. This is also a thing.
I would like to know if this is his last movie or if he did anything else after this, because... Anyway.
This is also a thing that's a change from the comics. I'm not sure. I've never had a solid opinion. In the comics, it's his wife and kids. In this, it is his whole family.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And I don't know if that's...
I'm just going to sit here and let Eric explain this movie.
I don't know if that bothers me. That, like, it needs to be so much more... like heightened, like his wife and kid are enough.
It's got to be a lot more traumatic.
Yeah. I don't know. It works for this movie.
It's almost like they felt like they had to tweak something in the source from the source material to make his extreme personality that he would get to that place make more sense.
Yeah.
It would almost be like now I'm imagining Bruce Wayne going to the theater being like a birthday party where they invited like everybody that knows Bruce Wayne.
One person comes in with an Uzi and is just like,
no, I was imagining,
oh, it's a random act of violence.
I was imagining all of them going out the back door and being in, like there's like grandma's there and he's got like friends from school and there's like 35 of them all standing in an alley. He's like, all of you give me your money! And if only Thomas Wayne had had the will to act, the guy wouldn't have pulled out a machete and a machine gun and anyway. I had this really amusing
This is a real
middle picture.
This is a real
oh, funeral scene.
We've added funeral scenes. Somebody suggested funeral scenes.
Yep,
We've added
so now we're counting
scenes.
funeral scenes. Okay, we now have 3 funeral scenes. We also have 3 bare-chested villains and 4 evil boardrooms. And if there's anything else you think we should add to the list that we can easily go back to and put things on retroactively, feel free and let us know. There's something else we were going to put on here.
We can't remember what it was.
We can't remember what it was. So hopefully, because you said, oh, we have to do this, and hopefully it comes up, and we will remember that we thought of it.
Oh, it's bad relationships with their father.
Oh, was that what it was?
I think.
I feel like there was something else.
I think that was the thing I brought up was because we keep doing that in superhero movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Or father figures. I don't know. Because I was like, we had that in Spider-Man. We're going to have that in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, okay,
we kind of count X-Men.
Yeah, so tragic fathers. Okay, but I don't know how to do tallies with question marks, Eric. Like, this one sort of has...
we probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, okay, so you got the one in Spider-Man. And you got the one in Hulk. We'll have to go back and see what else we had.
If we count Magneto and Xavier as like father figures, but that might be a stretch.
That one's a little bit of a stretch, just because we're talking more like protagonists with their fathers, right?
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da! The soundtrack up to this point has been too subtle for my taste. If we're gonna do this kind of stuff, there should have been more of that earlier, I think. You're right. We are uneven with influences. That's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say earlier about style, it is kind of stylized, but it's like a 70s crime thriller a lot of the time.
Yep.
Except for when it's other things.
Except when it's an 80s revenge film, except for when it's a Western. Like, we're really jumping around with our influences.
Yeah,
which can work sometimes.
But I just mean, like with the basic production design?
Yeah. Yeah,
I think making this a movie that takes place on the coast and having a lot of sunlight and stuff is part of what's making me think of that, though.
Yeah.
You have a juxtaposition. I think, not that I've seen a lot of those kinds of movies, but there's a juxtaposition a lot with violence and darkness, and it all takes place in like the heat of day.
Well, and that's why so many like noir stuff takes place in California. This does not feel like cheesy to me. Like how
really?
he gets his costume. I like it.
I'm sitting here trying to decide if I mind it or not. But, like, he was in the war, so his son would be like, this seems like a cool thing for my dad.
Yeah.
Dad's a tough guy.
And there is
but at least he's already, he would already be seen as a tough guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who went through some stuff.
I like that there's no symbolism behind it. There's no meaning behind it. It's just, I thought you'd like it. I thought it'd be cool. And it's the last thing he got from his son.
But, of course, it has to become symbolic. Like, the problem with it is... It gets unintentionally funny when you start thinking of other things that could have been on that shirt, and if the only reason he's wearing it is because it's the last thing his son gave him, like no matter what was on that shirt, if it was a big happy face, but then he'd just be Chainsaw Vigilante, and I'm fine with that. I would watch that movie.
This is gonna remind me of AVGN. You are dead. Your family is dead.
Your whole family
Your
is
dogs are dead. Everyone you've ever known is dead.
In a different way, this is another, like Ang Lee's Hulk, really solemn, somber tone kind of movie.
Except for when it wants to be funny. And it will do that. Ang Lee's Hulk doesn't have that. Ang Lee's Hulk doesn't have a popsicle stick scene.
Yeah. But Spawnier does. I was not influenced by this. My influences were all over the place.
I'm not a gun guy, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong. He says they're 1911 Colts. Those look real recent to me. Like, they're real... I don't know. I'm not a gun guy, but I feel like that's wrong. I feel like those are more modern guns. But I might be wrong.
I don't have a gun in that fight. And honestly, this whole experience to me feels like bringing a knife to a gunfight, Eric. I don't know this movie.
It's fun. It's a half-blind commentary. I love that shot.
And, you know, I think part of the reason this movie hasn't stuck with me as well is because I didn't actually sit down and write about it.
Do you do a commentary for this one? Or, like, you know, one of those...
No, yeah, this is the first one that Vince and I do a rewind on, but it's unscripted.
Right. That's right, because you script Punisher, and then this Punisher you do with Vince.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote notes, but I haven't analyzed this in the same way that I do rewind.
I really wish you would go back and do the two Punisher films.
I'll consider it.
This is R, yes?
Oh, it's gotta be. Yeah. Yep.
That's also probably where some of their budget goes.
What do you mean? Like they couldn't get as much of a budget because they weren't making a movie for families?
Yeah. Because this film is a really toned down R. We do a lot of shots, like we just had, that guy goes like, pff, pff. It's people you're not seeing. Or they just ducked behind the frame. And I don't think it's a... I think it's an intentional choice. I don't think it's a ratings thing or a budget thing. I think it's an intentional choice to put a lot of the senseless violence off screen.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that feels like it earns its rating almost more just in the feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't even see that impact.
Yeah, I do think there was a cut of this film that you could make PG-13, I bet. But some of it might just be too intense. It's not even what is actually happening. I mean, the torture scene happens off-screen.
If you just show this movie to someone that somehow rather had never heard of it and didn't know when it came out, this is hard to peg year-wise for at least a while, I think.
Yeah, this could have been a film in 1995.
That's precisely the year I almost said. It does feel like 1995. You're going to have to get your hair out of your eyes. Cause I don't think you want to get into a knife fight when your hair's in your eyes.
This is a real little detail that I like, is that there's a boat attached to it.
Yeah.
Like, it makes perfect sense there would be a boat attached to it. I really like that.
When you lived in Florida, did you go in boats or go to the beach a lot?
Not of my own free will. I don't like the beach.
You don't? Okay.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
I want to take credit for setting you up for that. I didn't do that on purpose. And it gets everywhere.
Well, and that's not wrong. Like everyone makes fun of that line. He is 100% right.
Oh, no, it is. The reason it's funny is because it's the closest thing we get to any, like, specific characterization.
But I knew a lot of people that went out on boats.
Tell me something about Anakin Skywalker. Well, he doesn't like sand.
Or, their parents had boats. I've been on boats. That's a pretty common thing in Florida.
I learned that from Dexter, too.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of boat stuff in that.
Florida's a great place to kill people and dispose of the bodies. There is like an area like between two towns.
Are you gonna teach people?
I'm gonna teach people where to stash the bodies. There's an area between two towns where I lived that were just back roads. It was just faster to get to like the end of the next town over. Like if you're just trying to get to the back half of it, you take these back roads, and there's just a lot of nothing. It'd be a great place to stash a body.
I liked it that truck flips, or that Jeep. Is that a Jeep? That nobody like shoots it, or it doesn't hit anything or anything. It's driving fast in sand.
Yeah.
But it's because they're in sand.
Yeah.
And it gets everywhere.
This is a thing that I've seen in 100 movies, but I think is really effective in this movie. And I've seen movies where it doesn't work. And I've seen movies where it does work. I think it works in this movie.
This is one of the few things that stuck with me. You mean like a victim walking away from a car and somebody chasing them, or
no, when they run them down.
Yeah.
When they run them down, I think it's really effective. And we're gonna have something that's really silly, but a little bit after that. But it's one of the things I don't think is supposed to be silly. We'll get to it. I'm Captain America.
Or Black Widow in Age of Ultron.
I love that we don't see it.
Yeah.
I think it's done really well. I think it's really tense.
Yeah, and it helps you feel more like you're... I think this is the scene I was talking about. I just like how this is cut.
Yeah.
I think it's even less cinematography and more editing.
Oh, and he's acting his heart out in this scene. It's really good.
But yeah, not seeing it is effective because he doesn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it puts us more with his POV. It's a shifted POV.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were with them that whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, we cut back to him a couple times, but...
His thumb looks weird there.
It's not a thing I've ever seen anyone ever point out.
His thumbnail is real weird. Look, it's almost green. Like it's not good.
Oh, I noticed that too. I didn't realize that's what you were talking about. Yeah. I was like, why did you paint your nails?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
For some reason, I didn't comment on it. It was like I'm just sitting here watching a movie, and I internalized that, and then you're like, his thumb looks weird, and I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, I'm having the exact same thought you're having.
Frank Castle is nothing if not fashionable.
Yeah, well, that'll change. I mean, these days we got all these people going around with skull shirts, but that's just because the Punisher is popular.
There's a whole military unit that's their symbol.
Really?
It's the Punisher skull. I forget what the unit is. And it comes from this movie. Like
it's one of those things
they saw this movie and they're like, oh, that was
this movie specifically.
From this movie specifically.
It is one of those things that I see all the time.
The Punisher skull?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's weird because he's waned in popularity as a character. There's not a lot of, like, merchandise as in, like, action figures and statues and stuff of the Punisher. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's not what he was in the 1990s. In the early 1990s. He goes away by the mid-90s.
Obviously to a much lesser degree, but it's kind of like Batman, where people that aren't really Batman fans wear Batman. It's the same thing with Punisher.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's people that wear Punisher shirts that don't know it's the Punisher.
Yeah.
It's just a cool logo. It's a really cool design.
Mm-hmm. So if memory serves, and again, I do not remember a lot about this movie, one of the things I feel like I was wondering about in the rewind was how he survives all of this.
Yeah, no.
And there does seem to be sort of a supernatural component to this, but it's never talked about.
Yeah, they kind of say that. Okay, so this is fine. I'm completely okay with this.
Mm-hmm. He
gets shot. And there are crazy instances where people get shot with shots that should kill them, and they don't die. Like, that's all fine. What's about to happen is nonsense.
Yeah, but you have to go to the hospital and get surgery, right? Like,
yeah,
that is point blank. Like, if you don't die, it's not because it missed. It's because it didn't totally sever a necessary artery.
This, however, is absurd.
Yeah.
He's in the explosion, and he just flies back, and he's fine. Like, that needed to go differently. Like, that, in all of this movie, that's the one line that's silly
because is it silly because he comes back, or is it silly just
he should be dead.
Yeah,
I think
he should be dead too. I thought you were just thinking it looked silly because the explosion blew him back.
No, it's funny because he's not dead.
Yeah. No, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be what you would call a gimme?
Yeah, but I don't think you need that.
Why do you need that?
You can just leave him being shot.
Yeah. Yeah, because he just comes back. And, like, is this a movie trying to tell us that this is a more heightened universe than it seemed early? Because the problem is, if this is a world where things like that just happen, because would you agree that if this exact same story were to play out in a comic pulp in 1955, you're not questioning that?
No. No, you're right.
And so I think it wants to be that, but you have to tell me you are that.
Yeah.
Earlier than, what, 20 minutes in? 32 minutes in?
Yeah.
I mean, that's your first plot point. That's a nice
Explosions don't kill people. First plot point.
That's, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I'm really nailing this script. Wonder if I can get John Travolta to be in it.
Second plot point. Popsicle sticks. That's not plot point.
This guy really wants to be Joe Pesci.
You're just saying that because he said the word fellas.
No, his voice is kind of Joe Pesci. Yeah. He's a smaller guy. This guy really wants to have Joe Pesci's career.
Joe Pesci is one of those actors that I feel like has not permeated past his time the way a lot of other actors have. Like,
I agree.
He was in all kinds of stuff. Nobody talks about Joe Pesci.
I think especially younger people, if you bring him up, they're like, "Who's that?"
Who is that?
Home Alone. Oh, that guy.
I was going to say, yeah, that's the only thing.
Yep.
I've never seen Goodfellas.
I have issues with Goodfellas.
No, I know. You told me that.
I have moral issues with Goodfellas. And similar issues I have with Wolf of Wall Street.
Wasn't he in... Hopefully I'm not mixing this up with something else. Wasn't he in a famous comedy that was a courtroom drama?
I think you're talking about
I cannot
Kramer versus Kramer.
No.
It
must be something else. Okay.
I don't know if he's in Kramer. I've never seen Kramer versus Kramer, but that's the big courtroom drama. Oh, is it My Cousin Vinny?
Yes. Is that him?
I think
that's him.
I'm pretty sure that's him. I've also not seen that film.
Thank you.
But I've also heard.
No, I did see that, and it's great. But I couldn't. But I was pretty sure that was Joe Pesci. It's just been a long time since I've seen it.
And I've also heard that My Cousin Vinny is the one of the most accurate depictions of like a legal case.
Really?
Yeah. For some reason, that movie's super really accurate to what happens in the courtroom. So I really like their relationship. I think it's way more nuanced and thought about than you would normally put in the villain-villainess relationship. Like, there is a structure to how their relationship works that, like, is really thought about when you're writing it.
Well, and obviously we're trying to kind of parallel this relationship to the Punisher and his wife, but she's not in it as much.
Because she's dead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and not even, like, paralleling their relationships, more just paralleling the men and their revenge motives.
But he does everything for his wife. It's really kind of interesting.
The reason I wasn't sure about My Cousin Vinny was because for a second I thought that might have been Danny DeVito, but I'm almost positive it's Joe Pesci. Yeah, it is. Anyway, I was real stuck on that for a second.
Oh, he's walking with it. He's walking with a limp. Yeah.
But this is what we would buy if he was just shot. I mean, to be fair, he didn't get blown up or anything. Like, the explosion knocked him back into the water.
But I think that's kind of absurd, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
He's in the middle of that explosion and, like, he doesn't get blown up.
That can happen if it hits you just right. That's a point I wanted to make the other day when you were talking about, like, explosions knocking people back and how silly it is that you wouldn't get burned or something. But, like, it just depends on the explosion.
Like, those look like modern guns to you, right?
I think. Not that I've ever been in an explosion, but,
Well, that's another thing we can throw on our list of things for movies to test.
Did we stop making... Yeah, we'll put that on the... Yeah, I'm out of space on this board, but, because we've got one we want to make at some point.
And it's going to be great. It's all because of Sarah's ego.
Uh-huh. But...
Or stealth ego.
Should we keep that a secret?
Yeah, no, we'll keep it a secret
for now. See, if that is anything else, it's potentially hilarious, right? Like,
it's
a zebra.
This seems like a thing that somebody could have a lot of fun with. Photoshopping.
But yeah, or just cutting. No, you just cut it with some other movie where there's a dad in a t-shirt. Surely you could find that scene.
Flips it up, it's a wall.
I will become the room.
I really like that line. It's a real, like...
It's super melodramatic.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's like an overwrought, like, tough guy line. But I like stuff like that.
But once again, this is a melodrama before it's a traditional narrative, I think. And that's part of why it thinks it can get away with things like the Punisher should be dead, but somehow or other he's not.
This is all lit.
What's that?
I love how this is all lit. His lair is great.
And that's what I would think the Punisher's lair would look like.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, I think they can get away with that for the same reason Sin City gets away with that.
Yeah.
Because it does do that kind of thing. And you just go with it. Because you're in a world where the rules are different. This just doesn't have the same kind of absurdity, though.
Yeah. And then sometimes it does. The Russian's really absurd. And Welcome Back, Frank, which is a big influence on this book, is an absurd book.
You mean this movie?
Yeah, sorry. Welcome Back, Frank is a big influence on this movie, and it's an absurd book.
Eric, this time we're not reviewing a movie and a comic simultaneously like we were yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
Alright, well, I mean...
I know it's real hard to keep everything
I got real
straight.
confused because it opened and it looked like a comic book with the bullets falling. Like, I wasn't sure.
Well, and I think you probably also just got really used to talking about a movie that looks like a comic book because we did it for 5 hours. No, it wasn't 5 hours.
I love his car. Movie. I don't know anything about cars, but I really like muscle cars, and I want a muscle car, and I love his car. I do think across 3 movies we do never get the battle van. That's a thing we never get, I don't think.
Didn't we sort of get... I'm trying to remember. I thought Punisher Warzone had a thing that was kind of like the...
I don't think he has a battle van. Maybe he does.
At least he has microchip.
I yell that at work sometimes.
You're disappointed to your mother?
Your grave disappointment to your mother and I. Yeah, I yell that at people sometimes. So that's Spacker Dave. I don't know if he's ever called that in this. I think he might just be Dave. That's all 3 of these characters are from Welcome Back, Frank.
Oh, okay.
This whole scenario is from Welcome Back, Frank. But that guy is like cartoonishly morbidly obese. Dave's a little bit more of an airhead, and she's a much more tragic, beaten down by the world character. But that's where they're coming from, and that's where I think all their names come from.
Man, I needed you to tell me that was Mystique, because I never picked up on it. And I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else.
I don't know.
It's kind of cool somebody to just cast her in a role and let her act.
I do have a hard time buying that woman lives here.
Yeah.
It's a tad bit of a problem with her casting here. Is she looks like a
supermodel. And it's not just a matter of like you came from good stock, that you were, you're just a really attractive person. Like she looks like she lived the life of a supermodel, and then somebody put her in that.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Some of that doesn't come naturally, and I'm not talking about makeup or surgery or anything. I'm not saying she had surgery, or anything. But there's just something about like living that kind of life, the way you carry yourself and stuff, where you can kind of tell. Yep, I agree with you.
You're supposed to be dead.
I can't decide if that guy is in the wrong movie or if when he's on screen it's a different movie. There's a distinction there.
I think it's when he's on screen it's a different movie.
Yeah, and this is the scene, of course.
Yeah.
Where I was like, that's where it got to be too much.
Wait, this is the scene?
Yeah, because I thought they were going to go farther with it.
Oh, okay. I mean, it is R-rated. You have all reason to think that they would.
And I think it was tension and anticipation. It was an R movie. I was expecting it to go to a place.
Yeah. I thought it was the later torture scene. I love how tense this is for a joke.
At least I don't think I got to that scene. I don't remember.
I think it makes it funnier.
Forever. Oh no, absolutely. And this is a great scene.
You know what I like about scenes like this?
No, I definitely did see the scene later. Is it a nail gun or is it a?
It's pulling out piercings.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And when we get to that, I will probably just kind of like coil up in a ball. I don't. Yeah. Anyway. Yep. Never mind. No, I got to that place. Yep.
We do this. We do this with The Punisher. We do this with Batman. Where like they have like these speeches about how they're going to hurt you. They could be lying. That's it. Like he talked about how like it's going to burn so bad it'll like damage the nerve endings and it's going to feel cold. That doesn't have to be true. Like, I don't actually know if that's true. I assume it is, but I like the idea that like when you're intimidating people, it doesn't matter if you're telling the truth.
Well, yeah, because if you're right. If you're giving exposition about it, it means you're assuming they don't know what happens.
Yeah.
So you could tell them anything.
Yeah.
I want the scene where the guy goes, actually,
That's
no.
not what happens.
I have a doctorate.
This guy does not have a doctorate,
and that's not what happens. It's like, well, I go against the laws of physics. I defy the laws of physics, sir.
Well, and I feel like people usually are. Oh, she was topless. I didn't remember that. I think she was for a second. Sorry, that really distracted me. I was like, I don't remember any nudity in this movie, and I think there was some for a second.
I was drinking Mountain Dew and not looking at the screen. So if there is no more in the movie, I would have gotten to the end of this and not realized that there was ever any nudity in this movie.
But we always assume that they're telling the truth when they threaten people like that. I want to see somebody not tell the truth and be like, what I'm saying is false.
They just make up something.
Yeah.
Although you have seen this where you'll claim something and then you get to the end and you go, you idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's not. We've done that.
Yeah.
My least favorite one is in Constantine because it makes no sense. I complain about that in the rewind.
Yep. Nope, I agree. I really like that. You're not a nice person.
It's Balthazar, right?
Yeah.
You get in the third act and he's
you have to ask
like,
for salvation.
You're gonna go to heaven. No, I don't want to go to heaven. Well, you idiot. You know how that works. Like,
yep.
Actually playing on that too much with what you're saying, where it's like if you're being tortured, you just forget how everything works. Which I guess, if you intimidated somebody enough, or you actually are hurting them, that could happen. But you can't be sure that's gonna work.
If I ever become rich and famous, I will not have a routine. That seems to be how rich people get taken down a lot in movies. Every Thursday they go to the movies. Every Friday they do this. I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna be completely unpredictable.
Yep.
Tony Stark doesn't have a routine like that.
Nope. But he's also not settled down.
See, you seem to be more into these kinds of movies than I am. And I wonder if that makes you enjoy this more, or makes it feel like it's like ripping those things off too much, or you know what I mean, or if it's just one of those. Like,
no, it's just one of those.
Okay.
No, it doesn't make me feel like this is derivative. It's pulling inspiration, but everything does that.
Well, and should. I mean, you build on things.
This is a little dramatic. I'm not dead now. I'm going to get rid of my tombstone.
I'm of two minds about that.
No, I like this scene. I like it like...
That's not what I was going to say. I'm of two minds about the date.
Oh.
There's a part of me that doesn't want this movie to be dated like that. It says 2003 on the...
That doesn't bother me.
On the tombstone.
It has to have some date.
Or you just don't do that scene. But yeah. I don't mean to be such a stickler about, you know, outside of time versus making a thing dated. But this doesn't feel like the world we live in. I mean, you could do a heightened now, but I don't know. I guess.
I love this speech.
Yeah, I remember liking the scene a lot too. Because it's about the police not doing enough, right?
Well, I like what it says about language, where he's like, I see you're upset. And he runs to like, these are the things that make you upset. What is it that I'm feeling right now?
Mm-hmm. You get to that kind of terminology because of the detachment of being a police officer.
Mm-hmm. That scene runs longer, I think, in the extended cut. It's more about...
I've definitely seen that cut.
It's more about the...
Because I remember Vince and I talking about that.
The police failures. Yeah, maybe in this cut we don't even tell you...
At least that time rolling under the door, it wasn't the very last second. Like, he had a little bit longer.
I think in this cut we don't even find out that his partner is the one that, like, outed him.
Oh,
or
weird.
like ratted him out or whatever. Yeah,
that's not like missing a subplot, but that's missing a major plot point.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a scene earlier where his partner goes to a casino, and that's how they get him. Is like he's in debt to the casino, and he tells them that this is where Frank is. He's vacationing.
Maybe one of the reasons I felt the
this seems real dangerous, right?
What?
Eating like soup or whatever over money.
I think that's probably the joke.
Anyways.
And also slapstick humor.
Yeah.
I think the reason I felt the need to at least question the date thing is we're throwing back so much to 70s and, as you say, sometimes 80s. Why can't this just be a period piece?
I don't know.
Or would it then feel way too much like Death Wish or something?
Yeah, maybe it would.
Now, I mean, we are dealing with the technology of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, because, I mean, like, we're seeing him use some things that would have been, you know, state-of-the-art in 03. This same movie can't happen the same way even 4 or 5 years after this.
Mm-hmm.
You still need a not everyone is going around with cell phones and stuff.
Yeah.
And certainly without the internet in their pocket. Like, we are right at the tail end of when you can do a movie like this.
Yep.
And set it in the year that it is. And that's why it gave me pause. Me? I'm giving away free money!
I do like this. Like, he does not care about money. Well, that is a thing in the comics. I don't know if it's established before Garth Ennis used it. The criminals he kills is how he funds his campaign.
Yeah.
That's how he pays for everything. See, we are now a Western.
Well, they gave us the bell at...
The ding.
At noon or whatever,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. They make it real clear in the Daredevil series that that's how he funds his operation.
Yeah, well, and that's pulling a lot from the Garth Ennis stuff as well. It's really weird that Punisher was super popular and existed for so long, and then Garth Ennis shows up, and that's... I think that's
the definitive run.
Yeah,
now?
I think that's the definitive run. I think most people agree. I know people like that earlier stuff, but I think the Garth Ennis stuff is the definitive.
You never
stuff.
hear about it now.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's talking about Circle of Blood.
It's mostly just the stuff that the early comics introduced that stuck around.
Mm-hmm.
Not even specific stories. I mean, every now and again somebody will bring up War Journal, but I don't think anybody knows what happened in War Journal.
Yeah.
I think that just sounds cool.
Or Warzone.
Yeah.
Fraction does War Journal. That's the one that launches out of Civil War. It's
but what's War Journal before that?
I believe the first War Journal is the one that Jim Lee starts on.
Really?
Yeah, Jim Lee
that's
does
late
like
80s.
Yeah, and it's like one of his big breaks is he does like 12 issues of War Journal.
I used to have most of that. It was the only Punisher I had. I don't know why I got rid of it, but I used to have that.
And Wolverine shows up in it.
Really?
In Jim Lee's run on it, that like first 12 issues. I think that might be what gets him the X-Men gig. He's like, oh, he draws Wolverine really well. He's not really concerned about hiding his identity.
Yeah.
Like, all of this is a lot easier if he doesn't announce that he's alive and put the tombstone and... It's all very theatrical, but,
Yeah, and Punisher, of course, is a guy who doesn't wear a mask, so he would have to work harder at that.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, and of course, I mean, he's... It's supposed to be easier for him because everybody thinks he's dead, but... Okay, so this is just the same shot, practically, as a shot in Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
Yep. And it looks good here, too.
Yep. Giant spinning fans always help.
Yeah, yeah. Backlit giant spinning fans. Yes, we saw all this.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to say that some of that opening maybe was completely unnecessary if you're going to do that. I don't know that we got much more about his family besides what he just flashed back to. We don't know anything about his wife. He has a wife. They got along.
Yeah.
They had a son. His son thinks skulls are cool. What else do we know? We know he misses his family and wants to die. Like, the movie could almost start here.
With him rolling up to the... You could start with him rolling up to the apartment complex.
Well, I mean, I want the police scene. But, yeah.
I think that's after.
Or is that after? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about with the apartment complex.
When he first moves in. And, like, he sets up, like, his armory and everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Sure. Sorry, I just didn't know what you're talking about.
I like his... the first line of that previous scene is... maybe he's alive because he's meant to suffer more. I like he's trying to find, like, meaning in the universe. Like, we tried to kill him, and he didn't die. That can only mean we're supposed to keep killing him.
As if God is on our side.
Yes, yes. It's that sports team thing of, like, whoever scores the touchdown, that's the person that God's on their side.
Well, and just inherently being religious.
Mm.
We're devout, and we have a code of some kind.
He doesn't seem like he's particularly good at his job.
Travolta?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, anytime we see him with his backers, like, it doesn't seem like he's cultivated a good relationship with his customers.
Hey, this scene is also in Sin City.
Yeah.
Is that... What does that have to do with anything? I don't understand that line. What is that exchange? What time is it in Hawaii? Wait, why did he say that? Is he going to Hawaii? Why did he say that?
Maybe it's because he looks like a surfer dude.
If that's what it is, thank you for explaining it, because... So is that guy gonna get turned into a Pez dispenser, Eric?
No.
Oh.
That's Warzone.
No, it's Sin City. I'm comparing him to the character that happens to in Sin City.
Yeah. That's easier to do and make look cool than... Like, that's not a talented thing. Like, that is just... It's a butterfly knife. It flings open. You do this. It looks kind of cool.
We can almost count those. That's the second time we see it. Well, because when Blade did it, it wasn't with one of those.
No, it was just with a knife.
Impressive.
And that was cool.
Yeah. It can sometimes be really dangerous to use, like misfit sidekicks as your comic relief in a bleak thing like this. And I remember thinking that it gets away with it better than most, but...
Because they're likable. They're not annoying, they're not over the top. Yeah, these are... It's the... Those are the three names from Welcome Back, Frank.
Okay.
It's Joan, Dave, and Bumpo. Garth Ennis is much meaner to those characters. Bumpo is not, like, an endearing character. He's just a giant fat man. Are you noticing weird boldening in the subtitles? Not to talk about subtitles.
No.
But I feel like there's weird emboldening.
I'll look for it now. Places where it's bolded.
See, no offense, but it seems like your memories are literally trying to kill you. Also, he had a bottle of alcohol in a glass. It wasn't like he opened the door and there were like 9 bottles, like, all empty.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, she still could have thought that room looked sort of weird.
I thought it was just the alcohol
like,
in the glass.
Yeah, no, it is. But
this is the funniest thing. Someone has to do this, right? This has to be a thing.
I don't remember the scene, so I don't know.
Oh, he puts a fake fire hydrant so no one will park there when he leaves?
Did you miss the part where I said I don't remember this movie?
He puts a fake fire hydrant so no one will park there when he takes the car.
Yeah, that's really clever, actually. I don't know where he got the fake fire hydrant.
Yeah!
Like, I want to see the scene where Frank Castle walks into a toy store. Sounds like the beginning of a joke. Frank Castle walks into a toy store.
It has to be heavy so it doesn't get, like, knocked over.
Yeah. It didn't look that heavy, though, like, when he placed it there. Mm-hmm. Like, it's clearly a prop fire hydrant. I don't think he went to, like, a second-hand store and bought an old fire... Well, you wouldn't have that at a second-hand store. I mean, like a flea market, where it's like, how much for this fire hydrant from 20 years ago?
Mr. Glass. They called him Mr. Glass.
Mr. Glass.
It was the kids.
There's a, I think it's changed its name now, but there's a hotel that I go to a small comic book convention at every year, and it's the Wyndham Garden Hotel. So Wyndham is a hotel company, and my wife always called it the Wesley Wyndham Price Hotel. This movie really takes its time.
Yeah. It's kind of not a Punisher movie. This is not how Frank operates. Like, fake fire hydrants, getting parking tickets.
You know, he would be... Like, once we have the obligatory, he becomes the real person at the end. Like, that guy would be bored watching this movie. It would be like, come on, just get a move on.
Just go shoot them.
You're supposed to be skilled enough that you don't need deception and subterfuge.
And there's this, like, it's this idea of, like, he wants him to ruin his own life. I don't know.
He's, like, about the poetry of it.
Yeah.
And Punisher is about his own version of justice.
Yeah.
The revenge and justice that are the same.
Yeah, he's more Shakespearean than Frank Castle ever is.
Ever, yeah.
This is one of those movies where I think, not unlike Constantine, where it's far enough away from the source material that, like, I like the things from the source material that are there, but it kind of stands on its own thing.
But it's also weird because it stays Origin the whole time, and so then if you had made a sequel, he probably would be more like Comic Book Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's real Casino Royale in that way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think they've said that, like, he would go on the road and, like, the next one would be, like, in New York. Because I don't know if you know that, Warzone is like one of those films that, like, starts as a sequel to this and keeps going through drafts until Tom Jane finally leaves the project. And then they decide to kind of soft reboot.
Ends up looking like a reboot.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those things where it could have almost been part of this in continuity.
Yeah, except we get one line about his family dying in the park, and it's in New York. And
oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There's like one little thing, much like Incredible Hulk. There's like one little thing.
And of course, stylistically, it's a totally different.
Oh yeah,
movie.
Yeah.
It does not take its time. It hits the ground running, and then shoots everything.
I like this guy. We were also in a Western again, and we're gonna signify that with Western music.
You're right.
I think his name's Howard Heck, which is, I think, also a Garth Ennis thing from Welcome Back, Frank. Harry Heck.
So is that what you do when you want to use your hands, but you're smoking? You put your cigarette here?
I usually just leave it in my mouth.
Okay, because that guy kept it between these two fingers.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was kind of weird, looking like he's...
I like this song.
I do too. I've always liked the song, but I wish there was more music in this movie if we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Like, I want the whole movie to kind of sound like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could go way too far with that. You like I'm not saying it should all be incidental music or all be popular music. I wish there was more acoustic guitar in the soundtrack, and then we get to incidental music.
Mm-hmm. Should be more Johnny Cash.
Because it makes you think. You know, and like Ghost Rider kind of has that too, where it's like, oh, if only the whole movie was the tone of the of the Ghost Riders in the Sky scene, like
Ghost Rider thinks it's a Western, except for the scenes where it's not.
Yeah, well, and obviously this has that kind of too. Except that it's more glaring there because that is a formulaic by the numbers superhero movie.
Mm-hmm. And it works not as well there.
Yeah.
They just, I mean, we'll get to it once there, but like it's not like this where like we're kind of like doing like kind of a Western thing. Like they just have scenes where they're like, and now we're a Western, and they clash real bad with like the rom-com scenes.
This is a really cool, tense scene. I don't remember the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I don't remember this scene.
It's a really good scene.
That's really cool.
Well, and I love that
because obviously he walks in and you would expect him to get a gun out of the case.
And Frank does. He like reaches back here when he opens the case.
Yeah.
He's waiting for someone to try and kill him.
But it's them just teasing him. Like, it's going to happen. And they're both doing this to each other. Like, this is a cat and mouse movie.
Yeah.
It's not your protagonist is trying to survive the whole movie. They're both trying to get each other.
Okay, so here's the problem, I think, with these metal sheets, right? Every movie I've ever seen, you can shoot through doors of a car pretty easily. It's like, those metal sheets might be bulletproof if they shoot through the windows, but if they shoot through the door, he's still getting shot. I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe it's because it's an older muscle car. It's thicker. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that frame is supposed to be thicker. I don't know cars either.
Mm-hmm. I've got a buddy I can ask about that.
It certainly looks a lot thicker.
Yeah. And he's got an older car too.
And you see a lot of, like, anti-heroes with muscle cars.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing.
Because they're cool.
Well, but also because they're more bulletproof.
Yeah.
I think.
I like this. This is a fun gag. Which is also a Garth Ennis gag, I believe, from Welcome Back, Frank.
That is the first time we've had much blood at all.
Yeah.
Comes right out of his nag.
But he does it. I think a lot of the senseless violence is kept off screen, and his violence is allowed to be seen. Not that everything he does is super violent.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That must be what it is. Because usually I would say, well, if you're going to have that kind of violence, like, kind of let us know at the beginning what we're in for.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that, again, just tonally, there's every reason all the way through this to think that we're, like, building to something that's going to be rougher than anything we've seen so far.
This is also a Welcome Back, Frank gag.
We're trying to create anticipation about the violence itself.
Which is really funny because it's not even really a gag.
Yeah.
Because it's real. It's just kind of funny. It's a mine. Front toward enemy. Mines actually say that.
Really?
Yes, mines actually say front toward enemy.
If you don't know that, it's really funny.
It's really funny.
And I feel like if you're in the know, maybe it's also funny, just because you're like, that's so true. If you were the enemy... It's funny
because it's true.
If you were the enemy and you turned that around, you'd be like, oh no, I'm the enemy. About to get blown up. That's funny because of the cut immediately to it.
Yeah, like it looks like it was a longer scene that just opens with all of it!
Really good. I don't know if it's intentionally funny, but that's good comedic timing there. Cuban cigars are a little stereotypical, yeah?
Yeah. Although, there is a large Cuban population in Florida.
Okay.
So, that fits a little bit better.
Sometimes...
Again, it would have fit better in Miami, where there's a huge Cuban population.
Sometimes you can't help but have the stereotype. Stereotypes are there sometimes, or often because there's truth to them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I have a hard time not rolling my eyes sometimes, especially in a badly written thing, where it's like, oh, it's a rich person with a martini. Of course it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because as you get money, your tastes refine. I don't know if you know this, but like the amount of like zeros in your bank account directly affects your taste buds. It's a scientific. We've done studies. It's a thing.
That means that the Beverly Hillbillies was really inaccurate.
Way inaccurate.
Wow. That show was so unrealistic.
That line is a line that I had a friend who used to yell at people. It's not even Cuban. It's Honduran.
To make Castle dead. It's real old school crime talk, Eric.
Yeah.
Make him dead.
You know, like, I know he's a guy that's, like, living on the ragged edge and all that. Must he eat an apple with a military-grade knife? Like,
that also feels like kind of a...
That's really
trite thing to do, yeah. This whole movie ends up being a PSA for why piercings on certain body parts is a stupid idea, right?
Well, I mean, if you get involved with the mob. I mean, if you have reason to believe that, like, you can be tortured.
Okay, but and nothing against anybody that has facial piercings, because to each his own, whatever. But it's so easy to just grab someone by the nose ring or the mouth ring or the big giant hoops in the ears. I don't know why you would want that, because it seems like you'd be... Boy, if you ever ticked anybody off, you got an easy target right there. Ugh. It just seems impractical to me. If you're a really, really nice human being and you never anger anyone, sure.
So what you're saying is you should just be covered in piercings.
No, I'm saying
you're real safe.
That's why I don't have them. No, you know what people do to me? They're like, I know you're blind without your glasses. Arrgh! I hate it when that happens, Eric.
I love that he gives this face when she goes, I know it's not Thanksgiving, but I like everyone to say what they're thankful for. And Tom Jane just gives this like look in his eyes of like, look, I'm eating dinner. Like, I didn't want to be here. I'm humoring you being here. Now you're gonna do this.
And also, my entire family is dead. So I guess you must have gotten this. So off screen somewhere they say they also murdered all of the rest of his family. Is that?
Well, they were all there.
The deal. Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember that's like the whole family
of course.
gathering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had a fleeting moment where I forgot who those other people were. I'm on the page. Like I said, this is sort of feeling like a first watch in a way. I mean, there's the things that are jumping back at me, but not as much as with like Hulk yesterday.
Right.
And as Eric, I'm sure can attest to, I have a tendency to pick up on other things and not basic story points when I'm watching a movie for the first time in a long time, and especially for the first time ever.
Especially when you're talking over it.
Well, yeah.
If you just shut up and watch the movie, it'd be fine.
You can't begrudge me that. We're making a video. We're making a video!
They'll understand!
Okay. Alright, you guys, I'm just gonna watch this movie, okay?
I can talk, because I've seen this
orange
movie and
juice.
I remember it.
We're in Florida.
You have orange juice in your fridge. Well, it's pineapple orange juice, but...
Yeah, which is delicious, by the way. This episode is brought to you by Pineapple Orange Juice. We should do one of these over breakfast.
Just looking
we should have,
at her...
like, eggs and stuff.
Just looking at her and hearing her say that kind of angers me.
What was the line? I'm not watching this movie. I said I would.
It's something about bad memories. Like I know how bad memories can like eat at you, and I'm like, no, you don't. You've never had a bad day in your life. I don't want to be mean, but you've never had a bad day in your life.
I relate to you because we're from the street. I mean, you have to blame the casting before you can blame the performance. I think she's
great.
Fine.
She's great, but I don't.
This is not like a Sue Storm in 2005 problem, right? Like,
no, she's really good in this movie. Like she's got some legitimate acting chops.
What you're saying is she's just too darn pretty.
She's just too darn pretty for this role in this.
That shot. Like, she is just a gorgeous lady.
Yeah. Immediately to the alcohol. Oh, he didn't even buy put it in the cup.
What is his whiskey of choice? I'm assuming that's whiskey. It looks like whiskey.
Wild Goose? I also thought whiskey. I don't know.
This is the scene, right?
No.
Oh no, this is when he just starts like throwing people. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is also from Welcome Back, Frank. Although it's even sillier in the comic. And the Russians even
I remember
bigger.
this being goofy.
Yeah, this is real goofy. It's even goofier in the comics. They beat him because he has sensitive skin, and they burn him with pizza.
That's hysterical.
And then they finish him off because Bumpo is so big and fat, he just falls on him and holds him in place. It's a 12-issue arc.
That shirt.
And this guy does kind of look like right out of the comics. He also kind of looks like Dolph Lundgren a little bit.
Yeah.
They should have gotten Dolph Lundgren for this.
That would have been great.
He doesn't even have to talk. And the Russian talks in the comic. And
really?
he's real childish. It's real weird. It's very Garth Ennis.
I gotta say, though, this guy looks almost too comic book for this movie. Like, now it's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop showing off with that. Like, just stab him. Well, if I had a dime for every time I've said that watching a movie, man, just stab him!
Oh, I thought you meant, like, just all those times you said it in real life, at least since I've been here.
Yeah, I think that has increased in frequency since I got here? Oh. Yeah, mm-hmm. You wouldn't know it because it was, I almost said off-screen. It was off-screen. People know this. My whole life is on camera. At some point, I will, like when I'm dead and gone. That all of the footage from my whole life will be out for the world to see.
It's in your will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a will?
Not yet. I'm too young for a will.
I don't know when.
I'm young and not sick. I haven't felt the need to put that together yet.
Look, man, car crashes can happen anytime.
Oh no, I know. I'm just still, arrogant and think I'm immortal.
Well, I've never thought about.
I'm holding on to that as long as I can, Eric.
I've never really thought about getting a will, but I'm like, well, I'm 25. I don't have anything. What could possibly be in my will? But you have things.
I have a couple things.
Although I guess it would just all go to Sarah.
Yeah, it seems kind of less necessary. This is an odd discussion.
Yeah, this is a real weird discussion.
I feel like it's almost less enemy. What is it that it says? Face toward enemy. Yeah, like we're not a lot older, and you're still in a place where you have a wife and younger kids. It kind of seems a little bit less necessary because
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you have multiple kids, you have to split things up between them. So down the road, I definitely would need to do that. But
toilets are always funny.
Toilets are always funny. This movie's got everything and the kitchen sink, just like The Spirit.
I can see.
Part of me almost wishes that was a Marvel movie, just so we'd have to. So I get
That'd be fun.
Watch that.
I just watched that not too long ago.
But I haven't done a commentary on it, so we'll do that.
I snagged your copy off the shelf and I watched with commentary.
You did?
Yeah, I told you about that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you also didn't remember watching with commentary. I'm like, no, you're the one that told me it had commentary because it was like an exclusive Best Buy thing.
Yeah, weird because I know that movie has a commentary. I'm just a different person day to day, apparently.
I like this. I love the facial expression he gets when he looks at the gun.
This is not weird and out of place.
I thought I'd be dealing with when I decided to go after John Travolta. Yeah, we're pulling a lot from Welcome Back, Frank. I don't know if we need this scene. I like this scene.
Yeah, for this kind of material, it's fun, but
I
say this material in that like it's a big violent scene. Like it's
tonally this fits better in. Yeah, see, we do that with A Slice of Pizza in the comic.
Oh, okay.
He's got real sensitive skin or something.
I'm just saying, for other movies, the word "fun" is not what you would use here, but like this is the levity, right? Like,
yeah, no, this is a really funny fight. It's a bit more tonally consistent with Welcome Back, Frank, because that's a book where the villain is like an 80-year-old woman without arms and legs.
So it's over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Frank has polar bears eat her arms and legs. And then she's in the hospital. No. It's later. She's on the ground, like she's got like stumps, and she's like moving them. She's like, "I will walk again."
Oh my god, that's nuts.
Yeah, no, that is the tone. I love that. It should be too far, but it's not. I think it's really funny.
Yeah,
he's so exhausted.
Too far though. Like now that we've done all that, sure. No, it's not. Now, in that scene,
it is weird because we'll follow it up with one of the more dramatic scenes of the film, because we are going to get to that torture scene.
Yeah, you will. I'm gonna walk out for a minute.
You don't see anything.
Just the
it's all
just
inferred.
The idea. I can't deal with it. You mean implied, right?
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
He likes his alcohol. But I'm not seeing a brand label. Maybe it just says whiskey along the side of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much the alcohol thing is really informing his character.
It seems real just stereotypical. Arc. This is what these kinds of characters do.
Yeah,
they drink.
Like he's an extreme personality, and he's had horrible, horrible traumatic thing happened to him, so he is burying himself in alcohol. Like, he's not losing himself in alcohol. He is driven and trying to get revenge. So I'm not sure what the point of that is.
I guess dulling the senses while he's home and alone with his memories?
Yeah.
I guess that's
that must be what it
you're
is.
Getting from. But it does feel like a real obvious choice.
Well, and again, it doesn't seem... I mean, I don't know all that much about the Punisher. I feel like what I've seen of Frank Castle, he wouldn't be a drinker.
No, Frank Castle's not.
Because he would want to have his wits about him.
Yeah, he's a
he
bit more
lose
like
control.
Yeah, he's more like Batman.
Yeah, the last thing on Earth Batman would ever do is get drunk.
Yeah.
Or kill someone. But, you know...
I don't know. I've seen a number of films that would argue that he would do that.
Before he would get drunk.
Yeah. 89, Returns, BVS. Like, he's killing people all over the place.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and actually... no, of course he doesn't drink in 89, because he says one drink and I'm flying. They even talk about it there, yeah. Achoo! They're in the walls!
I don't know, man. There was a bunch of explosions. She left. We're seeing what happened. There's a hole in my wall.
We had Donna Immobile, and then after that, all hell broke loose. We're never going to play that opera again.
We're never going to stereotypically, like, lip sing that that music again.
The word of the day, kids, is stereotypical. Sometimes it feels like a Pee Wee Herman episode on Geekvolution.
That's how it's working for this movie and some of it's not.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really obvious song choice, and, like, I don't like that she's there laughing at them, like, voicing along. Like, that is what everyone does the second that music comes on. Like, that's a real... That's not, like, them being wacky and, like, fun, and, like, I think that's supposed to be your audience, like, connecting with those characters. Like, oh, I really like these people, but, like, that's just what... I don't know.
Or, like, this guy that didn't seem to have anything about him. Oh, he knows all the words to this song.
Yeah.
And it was just a much more, I don't know if understated is the right word, movie before we got to that scene.
Well, now we're back to a much more understated film.
Yeah. If you were going to get that comic book, why not make something that feels more like just straight up The Punisher?
Yeah.
It's just a question I'm asking.
I really like his delivery where he's like, do you do drugs? And he goes, not right now.
See, he's asking all the questions I always ask about piercings. Well, I mean, I wouldn't ask that. Just curious, why did you want to do that? I don't mean to be disparaging against people who have facial... I just don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing he had those on hand. He knew he was going to be pulling piercings.
But that guy, in any situation, might need to torture somebody. He's going to carry those around, right? Like, that seems to be a basic torture device. No, you got to give him that. That's good for fingers.
Fingernails.
That's Oh,
that scene gets me in Lost.
Oh.
The splints underneath the fingernails.
I don't know see anything. I don't care. I just don't want the scene.
See, this one doesn't bother me nearly as much as, like, under the fingernails. Or something like that.
Yeah.
I think part of it
I think
is
everybody has their own specific things that bug them.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes difficult to articulate why.
Yeah. I think part of it for me is like I don't have piercings. Like I can't imagine what that's like. I've got fingernails. I've clipped my nails too. Like that already hurts. Like something going under it more.
I also have a weird thing with
things.
I have mouth things. Stapling lips is a thing for me.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start putting that in everything I write.
Have I not told you about that?
No.
When I lived at the mortuary, that's a thing you have to do after you embalm, with bodies.
Oh.
And just hearing it from the other room would make me kind of queasy. And it's one of the only things that remotely bothered me
when working at the mortuary.
Yeah. For folks that don't know, when I did this for 2 years, I worked in a mortuary and I lived there. I had an apartment there, and I was right across from the embalming room. So anything that went on in there, I could hear. And of course, I mean, I had access to it. And I had to clean it and stuff. So like I saw things, and I watched a few embalmings, and I got to learn about the process and stuff. There's a thing you do during embalming where you have to like shove a big piece of metal into a person's chest, and that I could watch and didn't have a problem with. But man, just hearing the staple gun from the other room, knowing what was going on, I didn't like that.
And then we're back to like really dramatic, over the top.
Yep, this is a comic book movie again. All of a sudden,
yeah.
I think this movie is like the Dolph Lundgren movie did not have this problem.
Of tone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not totally uneven. I knew what that movie was all the way through. This one, I'm questioning some choices.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that lightning isn't too fake for this movie. I think it thinks that it is more stylized than it is.
Yeah.
And again, I have to take back, I like the style of this movie because I don't know what the style of this movie is. Ultimately, the thing that sticks with me most is, weirdly, just the feel of the movie when his family gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that through the rest of the movie.
Nope.
And he just killed a guy with a machete.
No, it wasn't machete, it was a paper cutter.
Oh.
He was testing the like paper cutting thing that he has in his room for some reason, and then he like pulls the pin out and takes that out, and it's like a big machete.
Oh yeah, I forgot. And Vince and I talked about that, I think, when we reviewed this movie.
You don't know nothing. And that's immediately more explanation than we'll ever get in Rises for why Bane soldiers are able to die, are willing to die for him.
No comment. He sometimes sounds a little Hugh Jackman-y to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I wonder if he's also Australian. I don't think he is.
And I mean, Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine.
Yeah. That's why I meant.
Yeah.
That's why I said I wonder if he's also Australian. Like he's also faking the American accent, but I don't think he is. I'm pretty sure he's not.
Well, I just felt the need to elaborate that. I don't mean he sounds like Hugh Jackman. I mean he sounds like Wolverine.
If only there was a character in this named Stryker.
There are no exits that way, Frank Castle.
She's basically been saying that to him. This whole movie. In other words.
There are no exits that way?
Yeah.
If you mean, like, exit back to your old life.
Yeah.
I don't like this part of the score at all. That's just meandery.
So, this...
Punisher War Journal!
This, I believe, is... There is a Punisher Year One written by Abnett and Lanning, and I believe that this is from that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, that's weird, because, like... Frank Castle isn't, like, preparing for war. He's making war.
Yeah.
And I guess, in a way, it's sort of about eventual peace, I guess. But, like, Frank Castle's not really interested in peace. He wants... I mean, he has a real set of a worldview. These people are gonna keep existing.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna
no
keep
one
getting
else
rid
is
of them.
giving them what they deserve.
Looks like a hotel bathroom. That doesn't look like a personal bathroom.
Although it's not like his MO here is contrary to the title of the film or or the name of the Punisher. He's trying to punish people in a different way than we're used to seeing Frank Castle do that. It's like somebody's trying to reinvent that.
And I do kind of wonder how much of that is a take and how much of that is, okay, well, I gotta make a 2-hour movie
Lack of production
on this
value.
budget.
Yeah, because to be fair, nothing they're doing is too ambitious.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of Hulk again.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't one time said, "Oh, that looks atrocious" yet.
No. And there's like no CGI in
There's
this
no,
film.
yeah, it's all practical. And it's not a special effects movie, really.
Yeah.
I mean, all the stuff they've written is stuff they can pull off.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, the Dolph Lundgren movie also has that.
Yeah. Well, the Dolph Lundgren film also was in an era where we weren't just throwing CGI willy-nilly at everything. Like, no, we're good! We've perfected it!
Yeah, but we had plenty of, like animation in place of live-action things, and, like, bad, really obvious models, and things like that. It's just there wasn't a lot of that in that movie.
Yeah.
We did things we could achieve practically.
And I think Warzone's like that, too.
Is it?
I believe so. Maybe that's just a thing with the Punisher movies. They know what their budget is. And they're going to make a movie to that budget.
Well, just rawness in grit is a hard thing to achieve if you're making too much of it in a computer.
Yeah.
Computer grit is hard to make look like real-life grit. If you're, again, like Sin City, super ultra-stylized, computer grit becomes what you want. But...
From a certain point of view, this movie's kind of Hamlet, right? It's not his mom and his uncle, but, like, it's kind of Hamlet.
Yeah, but there's no ghost.
Oh, yeah. There's a ghost of his family. I don't mean it's literally Hamlet.
No, I
mean,
know. Anytime anybody
it's
says
closer
that's
to Hamlet than the Lion King.
I know, but I always feel the need to be like, but there's no ghost!
There is a ghost in Lion King.
Lion King.
But it's still close to Hamlet. The Lion King is not Hamlet. I hate that. It doesn't even begin to compare. So yeah, there's a whole scene in the extended cut where I think it's around this point, or it might be slightly earlier, where he goes to his ex-partner and has him sit down in a chair and points a gun at him and hands him a gun and says, "You're going to shoot yourself, or I'm going to do it for you." So yeah, that's all. That's the big thing that's cut out of this. It doesn't feel missing. The film works fine without it.
It's kind of more Hamlet with that, though, yeah?
Yeah.
Because this isn't really a movie about betrayal.
Yeah, and then it is. If in the extended cut.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I like this. Have a conversation where you're pushing everything out of the way.
But I'm saying, like, that's why people say The Lion King is Hamlet, because it's the evil uncle. It's betrayal. that's not this relationship.
Yeah. But that and the ghost is all it has in common with Hamlet.
Well,
the mom is not evil. He doesn't come back and exact revenge.
Yeah.
Like Hamlet, like it is Hamlet.
No, you're right. You're right. But that's because it's a Disney. But it does feel like Disney's Hamlet in a way, because Disney wouldn't have him come back and enact revenge. He would do the heroic thing, and that's what he does.
Well, but that's also the story of Hamlet. Like,
yeah,
Hamlet doesn't start with him hanging out with like hippies for like the entire second act of the play.
Yeah, no, that's that's true. Although they are, now we're talking about the Lion King. Although they are both unproactive protagonists until they are, right? Like,
it's true.
Like Hamlet is a lazy character.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I get why people say that, and also,
well, the people making it,
making that say
and that's
that.
why people say that. But I don't actually think it's not Hamlet.
Yeah, but again, it's as much Hamlet as a lot of Disney movies are whatever they say they are.
I feel like you could say it's their Shakespeare movie, but it's not their Hamlet. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like an adaptation of that, because they had that was like their Hunchback of Notre Dame is not Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Well, none of their films are what they are.
That's my point. Is that it is Hamlet if Disney made Hamlet.
Yeah, it's a really crappy, like truncated, like. Well, I actually really like Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah, it is that.
And I really like Lion King, but
I like Lion King as well.
Anyway.
I
hope you enjoyed the Lion King commentary.
But if that movie was called Hamlet, I would accept it more as being Disney's Hamlet.
Disney Mania. Yeah, but
it bothers me more that it's not actually an adaptation of Hamlet. Like, it's the fact that we made something we're saying it is Hamlet. And it's like, well, but it's not. One day I'll do this. I don't even have to be angry. I just want to throw things off a balcony like that.
It's more fun when you don't look angry. It's more fun when you just... it's like anytime... I don't care what it is. Anytime somebody just... I think... What is it? Bruce Almighty does this. Anytime somebody just walks up to somebody that's holding a sandwich and smacks the sandwich, that is always funny. And it's funnier if they look like they have no motive. It's like... And then they just walk away. Why did you do that? For the sake of comedy. That is slapstick that holds up. A lot of slapstick, you're like, yeah, that's not funny. It's not the 1920s anymore. But I'm telling you, what Travolta just did, that will be funny in movies 300 years from now. That is always funny. Oh, I forgot about that whole thing.
They showed it earlier. He was kissing a guy.
Well, we were talking. I wasn't even looking at that. I know. I said I watched this movie. I lied. Okay.
There's a real interesting thing here that I think you get with a lot of celebrity is the wrong word. It makes sense in like crime families and stuff, but relationships where like he loves her more than anything and will do anything for her, but he's also always afraid that she's going to leave. Like, there is this weird, like, he's not good enough for her, and he's always waiting for her to do something. Like, he both, like, puts her on a pedestal and has her beneath him, like, at the same time.
Well, and that's a standard thing we do with crime bosses.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kingpin and Vanessa some of the time.
Mm-hmm. I really like that delivery. It's so distant and cold.
Uh-huh. He plays passive-aggressive real well.
Yeah. He does play passive-aggressive real well.
Look at that rock! I just watched this movie because I don't remember this
I do like, from her perspective, it is just, like, she's trying to figure out what could possibly be going on.
Hers is another performance where I'm like, is this a not great performance, or is this what you do with this material?
Yeah, I think she's fine for this material. Although she would also be fine there as long as she didn't sit up.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, maybe in the position she was in, but all you gotta do is straighten up.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this about Cap and I.
If Punisher could survive, if Frank Castle could survive,
that train could kill her.
Yes.
I don't know if you
no, she should get up and walk away.
Oh,
regardless is the point I'm making.
I don't know if people know this, but Cap and I like to go down to the train yards and we just lay on the tracks. It's really exhilarating.
Mm-hmm. We don't recommend it because a lot of people do it wrong.
Yeah, like that. You don't sit up while the train's coming. That's pretty common sense, but we've lost a few friends that way. It's real sad.
Sometimes we like to tie people down on the railroad tracks in such a way where they won't get killed, but make them think that we're trying to kill them.
It's real funny.
And then it's hilarious. And you know what? 9 out of 10 of them, because we've done this to at least that many people.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 of them, when the train has passed and we untie them, they go, "Man, that was exhilarating!
What a rush!"
Now Frank Castle is dead. Oh, you just decided he died with his family. I don't know. That seems like a line you'd try to get in there somewhere earlier.
Well, this is that thing he wrote earlier. His, like, declaration of intent.
I know, but I just feel like the movie would try to get that in there.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit earlier. This whole speech seems like the beginning of your second act, really.
Yeah.
I remember liking this speech.
It is a good speech.
I mean, he is just coming out and explaining his worldview, but that's fine with this, I think.
And that's still more of that Abbott and Lanning stuff.
It is a comic book now.
Yeah.
In a way it wasn't earlier.
And it's finally an action movie. It's kind of not that for the entire middle act.
Again, different from Hulk, where that's not an action movie, and then suddenly it's an action movie, and then it's not again.
Yeah.
But I can't say this, like, degenerated into an action movie.
No, it's built to it.
It needs to be that.
Yeah. But I also don't know why this isn't the first thing he does.
Yeah.
Is just go in here and do this.
Yeah, he wasn't building to this exact, was he? Like...
Well, he's gotten them to kill everybody now, and I guess that's what we're building. Yeah. We spent
Yeah,
a whole movie to get him to kill
I guess the idea
his
is
best friend and his wife.
He needed to thin the herd or something. I haven't been watching this movie. I don't know.
Well, he just wants to take away from him everything he loves before he kills him.
Before he kills... Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember what exactly he had been doing.
And there's a real funny bit with how his son dies that I think is really funny. It's real black humor, and I really like it. Because his son's not dead yet.
I want...
That doesn't sound like Eddie!
I want the climax of this to be the climax from Return to Captain Invincible, because he's been drinking, and he's right next to this big giant bar. So John Travolta comes out, and he just sings a song about how he's an alcoholic and tries to make him drink.
This applies for with a sense of humor.
If you don't choose your poison, I'll have to bring the poison! This was also a video game, I think.
Yes, there is a video game. Written by Garth Ennis.
Weird.
Yep. I think Jigsaw's in that. I think there's a couple of villains in that. I think Bullseye might be in that.
But it is specifically tied to this movie, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's a...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've never played it. I just know about it. It's also for the PS4.
I mean, I'm sure it's awful, but...
I don't know. Like, I want to say, like, the reviews I saw was that, like, it was, like, fine.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The Ghostwire game's like that, too. The Ghostwire game is a knockoff of God of War. So it's a fine game.
Yeah, sure.
It's nothing innovative. It's nothing great.
Yeah.
It's a fine game.
It's just a hack and slash.
Yeah.
That's Dante's Inferno. real minimal with the sound design of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
All over the place.
The violence too.
Oh, I remember that. What were you saying about the minimalism of the violence?
I mean, it is minimalized. It's not Warzone.
Yeah, I think it wants to not show a lot of violence, so when it decides to,
it's
a lot more impactful. Yeah. I don't know, a blade right through the mouth like that. You can't call that minimal violence.
I'm not sure if that's in Welcome Back, Frank, but I wouldn't be surprised. That seems like
the number of, if you're talking about number of gruesome moments versus what you would expect in a Punisher movie, okay, I can use the word minimal there. I like that. His sense of humor is Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
Yeah.
That's the one thing they really have in common, right? It's real dry and it's real physical.
This is real similar to something that happens in Mad Max, the first Mad Max movie.
Mm-hmm.
He does something like this. And that movie is actually kind of like this in that if you've seen the later Mad Max films, you're expecting something. You back to that movie, it is like halfway through that. Like, it's the end of the second act that his family gets killed. And then he's Mad Max and he kills them for like the third act. Like, it's real weird.
I have never gone back and watched those.
I would watch the second one and the first half of the third one. I don't actually like the first Mad Max.
That's what everybody that I've talked to about that says. So would you say that as a genre you tend to like revenge thrillers?
I love that. You killed my son. Then you hear him scream and an explosion. Both of them. It's great. Yeah, I like revenge thrillers.
It's a Western again.
Yeah. It's like not a genre that draws me into a film, but a lot of films I like are within that genre.
Being that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best of them in a long time is John Wick.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not sure anything, not that I've seen every revenge thriller that's come out in 10 years, I'm not sure there's a better revenge thriller in 10 years than John Wick.
No, I think you're probably right with that.
That has a real fresh impetus where his family's already been gone for a long time, and it's something that seems more innocuous to the audience but personal for him. I love that.
Yeah. And then this gets real big and theatrical. But as we've seen, like this Punisher is theatrical.
Yeah.
Because this
and it's all for him. I mean, that's kind of fun. Nobody else has to see this happen. He's enjoying the poetic justice of this.
Yeah.
There is kind of an amusing juxtaposition with bringing the theme in here.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is a sad, tragic sounding theme, but there's also something a little bit triumphant about it.
Yeah, I was going to say triumphant as well. It's tragically triumphant. We're not happy that we're winning. We're real sad about it, but we are winning.
Finally, we've got to do something big in this movie.
Yeah. It may be a little too big and silly, but again, like, I don't know what the tone of this movie. Because that's kind of silly.
Okay, I don't know about that. I didn't remember that. Ha! Yeah, that weird.
Did you see The Crow? They saw The Crow.
They saw The Crow. Yeah.
We could have counted those.
Well, we're going to. So,
because we got that Daredevil.
That's what I was just about to.
Ghost Rider do it.
Just about to do. I believe Ghost Rider maybe does it somewhere.
I can't think of any other film that does it.
Well, we'll keep
Dark
watching
Knight?
to find out. But I'm going to put a couple of these.
Or Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises does it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wild Turkey. He drinks Wild Turkey. Solve that mystery.
I was just burning to know. Okay, so
well, you brought it up, and I was trying to.
2 symbol in flames already.
Yep.
Two
oh,
of those.
we'll at least get 2 more in the Fantastic Four films.
Oh yeah, that's a symbol in flames.
It's not exactly what we
not
mean,
what we were thinking, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really like this. I think there needs to be a little bit more around this scene. Because this is the moment where the Punisher is born.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense for that speech about Frank Castle is dead to be a little bit after this, really. But
yeah.
Because he's.
Well, that's why I said that was kind of perplexing. Because it's like, well, you've gone this whole movie, and now you're saying Frank Castle is dead, but you're saying he died before. I don't know about that.
No, this is
like that was what Frank Castle would do if that happened to him, and now he's changed it to something else.
What this needs to be, and what I think it is visually, but I don't think we'll have enough dialogue around it to really drive this point home. What this is, at least this is how I read this, is the death of Frank Castle, and this is the birth of the Punisher. His whole motivation was revenge. He just wanted to kill the people that killed his family, and then he was going to kill himself. And in this moment, he realizes there's more bad people, and I'm going to go. That's his Batman Year One, the Bell thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what that scene is.
And isn't it kind of interesting that he and the Marvel Cinematic Hulk have that in common? Where that character is basically born when they attempt or think about attempting suicide and it doesn't happen?
Yeah. And then this ending is also out of Welcome Back, Frank. When he leaves them. I want to say there's something subtly different, but I don't remember. I don't remember if that's.
Welcome back, Comic Relief.
They still aren't using the door.
If you had a big hole in your house, you'd walk through it too.
Probably. Well, you wouldn't for like the first week.
Yeah.
And then just the convenience of it would get to you.
Now you do it because you want to remember.
Yeah, this is how Welcome Back, Frank ends. He leaves with Saxony.
I honestly didn't know there was very much comic book in this movie at all.
Yeah, it's all from one story, really. And Welcome Back, Frank was a huge deal. It was the resurgence of popularity of Punisher in comics. Because right before Welcome Back, Frank, we tried to make him someone working for heaven, and he can just, like, create guns out of thin air.
What?
We went real supernatural
What?
for a miniseries.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, there's this kind of thin line sometimes with comic book movies of adaptation and just you made your own story, but you didn't bother to read anything but one other story.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't know where that line is.
Yeah, and that's
like, this isn't really an
this is,
adaptation
really.
of that story.
Yeah, there's
right?
just a lot of these scenes there
that they take from it.
Yeah.
Could you have adapted that movie or that story? Because I don't know how important being familiar with the Punisher already is.
You could have. It's a very different movie. It's a much more comedic movie, but it's also a much more violent movie. I don't know. You could do it. You would need the right director.
Come on, Daredevil.
Yeah. Galen Hurd, I feel like that's somebody.
This is one of those rock soundtracks that Vince listened to a lot. I've never actually listened to the soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never listened to this one.
It had one too. It's got one. Spider-Man has one. Fantastic Four has one. Daredevil has one.
Does Hulk have one?
I think it does. I know I talked yesterday like it did. Now I'm not sure.
Movies from and inspired by the theatrical film Hulk.
Hulk. Yeah, from the art house / giant action movie Hulk. So I can't be the only person that's ever thought of this, and it's probably in comics somewhere, and you probably heard this 100,000 times. But I'm just curious: have you ever? So I don't want you to think that I'm being super profound when I say this.
Okay.
And I don't know if I put this in Rewind anywhere, but have you ever thought of Frank Castle as a chess piece?
No. As a chess piece?
Yeah.
As the castle?
Rook, the castle, moves in a straight line.
Yeah, no, I never.
I always wondered if anybody ever did that with the Punisher, if that had anything to do with why his last name was Castle, because that seems like a really, if it wasn't intentional, like a really cool, convenient thing with his name. Because
I've never
he just barrels forward. That's what, like, not in this movie, but that's what the Punisher does.
Yeah. You know, that Joe Pesci guy, like, kind of drops out of that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta look that up and see if this is Roy Scheider's last movie.
I mean, you can do that right now while the credits are rolling.
No, I will, because we don't have a lot else to say right now.
Yeah, there's not a lot else to say. It would be interesting at some point, if you were ever going to go back to this movie, to read Welcome Back, Frank, and then watch this movie and just be able to pick out...
thinking that while you were talking about it, yeah.
Because, like, it is not this movie, but there's a lot of it in this movie.
Do you have it?
I have it.
I probably will try to sit down and read that. He didn't die until 2008.
Oh, wow.
See, because I knew he had passed away, I always think of him as having died shortly after Sequest. But no, he didn't die till 2008.
Huh.
Which means I'm sure he was in a couple. But, like, he doesn't look like he's in great shape in this movie.
No.
He was in quite a few things after The Punisher, actually. Nothing, just some kind of bit roles and things, it looks like.
Which is what he is in this.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. Well, anyway.
Oh, he was in Dracula 3 Legacy.
Yeah. Right after this.
Yeah. So what are you saying about Welcome Back, Frank?
Oh, just that if I ever did go back and actually write an analysis of this movie, I would probably try to read that.
Yeah.
I think I said that. I think I got that point. That's all I was saying.
Well, no, you started it, and then you were like, oh, this is what he's been in.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, Welcome Back, Frank is fun. I don't think it's as good as Punisher Max stuff, but it's fun. But it was real important at the time. Like, if you'd never read a Punisher comic and you got the job to make this movie at that moment in time, and you're like, okay, well, what should I read? Everyone's going to tell you Welcome Back, Frank.
Mm-hmm. And now it's Max.
Yeah, now it's Max. Probably both Maxes. The Garth and the...
I don't know. I feel like I only hear about the first one, but I'm always talking about the other one. Like people that I know that have read that think it's great and maybe as good as the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because I haven't read the first one, but...
Well, the first one's like 50 issues long. It's not a short thing. And it is... I think it's 10. I think it's 60 issues long. It's 10 6-issue arcs. And they're mostly all self-contained.
I don't remember how long the second one is. It's not short either. It is a monthly. No, it's longer than that.
I thought it was 12. I thought it was 3 6 issues.
I thought it kept going for a bit, but...
Oh, okay. I don't know. I haven't read it.
Yeah. It's been years now.
It's not.
Weirdly.
Steve and I were talking about, like a year ago, we were talking about doing reviews for the Punisher Max because they started putting that out in
really
in the big thick collections, but you couldn't get them at that moment in time because Daredevil season 2 had just come out, and everyone was buying that stuff.
This was a big song.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is Broken. Yeah.
This is Evanescence, yeah.
But sometimes Amy Lee comes in and guest sings on this song.
Oh.
And I don't know if this is going to be the version with this is the version with her. I've heard the other version that's just him. I like the song a lot.
That's 2 in
But
in oh no, I guess it's not 2 in 2003 because this comes out.
yeah. Yeah, there she is. And I feel like the other version is a little slower than this.
I think I've only heard this version.
Yeah?
This is a weird thing we do with movies, right? Like, we just throw songs that have nothing to do with the movie, weren't written for the movie, weren't anything. We just throw them in the credits, and then we're like, from the movie,
yeah,
The Punisher.
No, you're right, and like sometimes they'll like vaguely, sort of thematically have something to do with the movie. Like they'll try to pick something that's kind of appropriate,
Yeah.
but it's like either whatever's really big right then, or the movie makes it a big. I mean, what in the world did that Seal song have to do with Batman Forever? Freaking nothing.
Yeah.
But it put Seal on the map in a big giant way.
Well, and there's that one that was in the Avengers.
But this song would have been really popular without the Punisher. It didn't need the Punisher.
Yeah.
Because this
I didn't even know it
wasn't a
came
big
from this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they filmed in Tampa. But
You can tell that looking at it, though.
yeah. I stopped thinking about that as we went through the movie, but I was like, oh yeah, it was in fact filmed in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm not going to apologize for still liking this kind of music.
I mean, that's on you, man.
Not going to do it.
But
That did not say the Punisher will return.
and he won't. Not this one.
Not that one. Well, he will in a 10-minute short film.
Yeah, it's true. Oh look, it's that chip again.
It's Valhalla Motion Pictures. You're like, what the heck is this? We've seen it twice
We should
now.
count Valhalla. I've
movies.
never seen that logo before, and now I've seen it twice at the end of a movie's credits.
That means we never sat through the whole credits or,
Why
or
would
these
you?
credits. Yeah, because we're making Marvel Mania. That's why.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thanks a lot for watching, folks. Sure appreciate it. We will see you again tomorrow. And once again, I forgot to look up the movie. What is tomorrow?
We
We talked about it earlier before the video, and now I can't remember.
I don't remember
That's
what it is.
We're gonna do this again. I should just keep this page bookmarked.
Is this Spider-Man 2?
Is this so this is another at least 3 movies
Yeah.
kind of year. But it might even be more than that. Well, not for Marvel movies though, right?
I don't think so.
Let's see here. We've got Spider-Man 2 is next,
Spider-Man 2 is next.
and then it's Blade Trinity, and then it's Elektra, and then Fantastic Four is 05. What am I talking about?
Okay.
I knew that.
So, yeah, Ghost Rider's 07. We were talking about that earlier.
There is no year until 2014 where you have more than 3 movies based on Marvel properties.
Yeah, they do 4 in... Oh, because of Spider-Man and X-Men.
Yep.
Yeah. But there's also no year without at least 1.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's at least 2? No, because X-Men 3 is the only one in 06. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And X-Men Origins is the only one in 09.
Oh, weird.
Which is weird because we've started our universe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we skipped we skipped a whole year.
Yep.
Probably just kind of getting ourselves together and figuring out what we're going to do after.
Yeah. No, I've talked about that before with Iron Man 2 and that whole thing. And DC needed to do that. Like looking back, I'm like, oh, this is why you take a year.
Yeah.
You see what's working.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And like they've been putting things off, but they like 6 months or whatever. But yeah, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, well, thanks again for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it, and we will see you again tomorrow for Spider-Man 2. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.